First step, stock. This recycling plant was built in 1998 by a German company, an American-based plastic containers producer group. Plastipak bought it in 2015. Plastipak has 40 plants around the world, 15 in Europe. 3 of them are specialized in recycling plastic. The Beaune plant is the biggest in Europe to produce food-grade recycled PET. The packagings produced here can be used for food and drinks. This plant is considered as a pioneer in closed-loop recycling. A bottle collected in France can be transformed into new high-quality bottles. This plant produces annually around 48,000 tons of recycled plastic. It amounts to approximately 1 billion bottles. The plant employs 135 people working 24/7. European legislation authorising food-grade recycled plastic arrived recently in 2008. In 2012, to secure its supply in recycled PET, Coca-Cola European Partners France invested in this plant through the joint venture Infineo. Both companies invested 8.7 million euros together to create a new production line. Packaging that we put in the recycling bin are transferred to a material recycling facility. There, packagings are separated by colour and materials. These big cubes, called bales, contain only transparent clear bottles. The material recycled here is PET, polyethylene terephthalate. The bottles arriving here come from the east and southeast of France. It is approximately 1/3 of the bottles collected in France. Trucks coming from sorting centres are unloaded here. We use 160 tons of bottles every day in this plant. Unfortunately, in France, only 60% of the plastic bottles are thrown into the recycling bin by its inhabitants. This plant lacks materials for recycling and has to import 10% of these bottles from Germany and Belgium, where there is more collection than recycling capacity. Second step, sorting and washing. Bales coming from material recycling facilities contain 5 to 10% of undesirable objects, cans, coloured plastic bottles, etc., that will need to be detected and removed. All these objects go to a sorting centre located next to the plant, to be sent towards the right recycling plant. The recycling journey starts with the washing line. First, bottles are pre-washed with water and scratched with metallic spikes in order to remove labels, which will be transformed in another plant. Bottles are then easier to sort with optical sorting machines. These machines are able to detect the colour of each bottle thanks to an infrared sensor and reject the coloured bottles. Bottles then go through a rotating magnet and an eddy current to reject cans of steel and aluminium. They will be sent to the right recycling plant. After all these steps, bottles are crushed into small pieces of less than 2 centimeters called flakes. Flakes go into a washing machine with hot water and detergent to separate the glue and leftover drinks. Washed flakes then go into a pool full of water. Bottle flakes in PET are heavier than water and sink to the bottom of the pool. Caps and labels, which are made from another polymer, HDPE or LDPE, float above the water. They are caught and sent to another recycling plant 20 kilometers from Beaune. These caps, like milk or detergent bottles that we find in the recycling bin, are transformed into other products like watering cans, car seats, flower pots or big garbage containers. At the Plastipak plant, PET flakes are then sorted before going to the extrusion workshop. Third step, extrusion. flakes coming out of the washing process arrive for extrusion. The plastic will be transformed through a heating process. Flakes are once again sorted with a camera and a laser ray to separate other materials from the PET, like HDPE coming from caps, PVC coming from house care bottles, nylon or silicone coming from the ketchup soft caps, for example. After these 10 sorting steps, flakes are worked along a screw and heated above their melting point at 285 degrees Celsius. Recycled PET then forms liquid filaments looking like spaghetti, which will be cooled with cold water to get it back to a solid form. These filaments go through a rotating chopper to get cut into small pieces called pellets. Here, a line driver takes a sample to proceed to a quality test. Note that these pellets are not yet food grade. They can contain microscopic impurities and water. They need to be purified. It is the unique properties of PET when put at high temperature which enables the separation between plastic and impurities. This technique, called polycondensation, needs 3 conditions. Pellets need to stay 16 hours at 200 degrees and without oxygen. After this, pellets are ultra-dried and purified. They contain no other molecules than polyethylene terephthalate. They are now suitable for food-grade contact. Several tests are made in a laboratory to be sure of this purity. Pellets are then transferred to silos. In this plant, 48,000 tonnes of pellets can be produced each year, approximately 130 tonnes per day. The plant has an efficiency rate of 75%, as we have to take out caps, labels, undesirable packaging and lots of humidity. Finally, pellets leave the plant in tankers to be transformed into preforms and bottles. Fourth step, injection and blow moulding. The bottle will be made into 2 stages, injection moulding and blow moulding. Recycled pellets are first mixed with virgin PET pellets coming from oil transformation. Each bottler chooses the mix between virgin and recycled pellets, between 0 and 100%. In France, it is an average of 15% of recycled PET that is used in all PET bottles. For Coca-Cola in France, it was an average of 28% in 2019. This mix influences the colour of the bottle, because recycled PET is blue, whereas virgin PET is white. It is especially the case in France, where most bottles we recycle are mineral water, often blue. Pellets are then worked along a screw and heated until they melt at 260 degrees Celsius. The melted material is injected at high pressure into a multi-cavity mould. A mould contains usually between 50 and 150 preforms. A robotic head then collects the preforms to cool and eject them. The whole process takes between 10 to 30 seconds. Preforms are then transported to the blowing hall, located at the bottling site. For example, for Coca-Cola in France, preforms are blown at the Grigny plant. Preform passes through heater lamps before entering the mould, which defines the shape of the bottle. A rod enters the preform and stretches it. Then a high-pressure blast of air forces the preform into the blow mould, creating the bottle. On a commercial scale, 10,000 to 60,000 bottles can be created every hour. This allows us to call it from bottle to bottle recycling.